Welcome, viewer. I'm Lorenzo and you're watching the first episode of Kerbal Space Colonization. It's the first episode and it's also not the first episode. In this series we will focus on, well, as I said, colonizing places. Most notably Tylo and Eeloo, which is incidentally the name of the last series. And the reason that these things are linked is because this is the first episode of Kerbal Space Colonization and also the 51st episode of Tylo and Eeloo. It so happens that in that series the aim got diverted, and instead of a colony on Tylo or Eeloo, we have a industrial complex to be right here on Minmus, overlooking Kerbin and the moon up there in the distance. I have found that building bases is costly. We are playing in career mode with science and funds limited. Building bases is costly and it is time consuming and error prone. All things that are hideously complicated the further you go away from Kerbin. So what the idea had become in the last episode was to build a asteroid colonization ship, and that means grabbing an asteroid from the sky, building factories and mining facilities on it, and then taking that with a big old fusion drive out to wherever you want to colonize. And that will be what we're attempting to do here. We have some infrastructure we can leverage. First, we have this extraplanetary launch pad here on Minmus. It's not quite done yet. It requires a mining rig. It has a mining rig over here, but this only mines for ore. We're going to build one that mines everything, so that this little settlement becomes self-sufficient, or as near as it can be. Now let's bring up the UI here and explore what other facilities we have in order to achieve this goal. For that I'll bring up the map view and tab over to Kerbin. Oh damn it, I went past it. Just bear with me for a few seconds, please. We have two space stations. We have the Science Base Omega, which is currently sort of in use as a training facility for Kerbals. You see, they need stars, they need experience in order to be useful. This has Kerbals in it, and Rodgar has now been trained as a scientist. Hurrah, hurrah. Most of our Kerbals, though, they live in the Future Station, which will have to be renamed because it's now the oldest station we have. The Future here carries an orbital shipyard. It has everything we need to manufacture ships in space. Here it is. Let's open it up. It has a storage of rocket parts, hydroponics bay, agriculture stuff for food, and a fuel refinery which will split water, which will still have to be shuttled up from Kerbin, into rocket fuel. Most importantly, it's got a logistics hub which will allow transference of resources between ships in Kerbin orbit. Very, very useful that. This was used to build the industrial complex on Minmus, mostly. Now, you see we have the Kerbal alarm clock here. Several things are afoot. These are all inheritances from the old Tylo and Eeloo show. And I will now proceed to the Space Center to, well, show you the status of our space program, because we've got some big plans for this episode, and I'm going to go through that fairly rapidly so that we can, do many things. You will notice that this space station is not as developed as you might expect from a fully developed space program, but that's because most of our cool ships are being built off planet. We have a fully developed R&D facility, but we aren't fully developed yet, so there is some benefit to getting science. In fact, one of the missions that is coming up to Joule as soon as ion propulsion is researched is a contract to it's a contract to send ion engines to the Joule system. That Kerbal is talking to me. That's really, really weird. But what are we going to do now? First, let me pimp my channel. If you haven't watched this before, go ahead, watch all of the videos. There's about 400 now. Subscribe, it'll be worth it. And under this one video and all the recent ones, there is my very new spanking brand gleaming new that's a lot of words. My brand spanking new gleaming Twitter account, which I will use to announce videos, give sneak peeks into the future, and all kind of cool stuff. Also, there is my Steam account, which you can add to your friend list if you're so inclined, so you can catch me recording. I play KSP through Steam, and even though I don't always interact through that platform, you are able to watch me do these things live if you want. That's that. Let's go over the plan for this episode. We are going to build something. We're going to build something on minmus. I'm going here into the VAB because that's how these extraplanetary launch pads work. You design your stuff here and then you build it on minmus. We're going to build the Ultiminer. Named so because it mines everything. It's got drills for uranite, it's got drills for water, minerals, substrate, metal, and of course ore. Corresponding containers here and intermediary containers. This will be the motherlode. Cooling as well and in situ resource utilization. I'm butchering some words there. I got some slime in my throat. Well, let's not stop and think about that too much. Oops, did that now. Anyway, we're gonna put this on minmus. Our interface tells us this will require 25,000 rocket parts. There are currently 0 rocket parts on minmus, and there is about 2,000 rocket parts on the orbital space station. So we could launch a buttload of resupply missions and do that, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna do something else. We are going to launch the... what's it called? What did I call it? We are going to launch the part bomb, named so because it is a frighteningly large launcher, which will launch just over 30,000 rocket parts to minmus orbit. Now this doesn't look like a lander, and you're right, it's not gonna land. It's gonna use the minmus logistics module to get its rocket parts to where they are supposed to be. Now this one is really expensive. This is going to cost 427,000 and we've got 990,000. So we can afford this, but like it's going to cost us half our budget. So let's not think about that too much and just build it. The good bit is if we get a functioning uranium plant on minmus, and that will require adding more modules, but they could conceivably be shipped from the orbital shipyard. If we are to do that, we can then ship refined uranium back to Kerbin, and uranium is incredibly expensive. There's currently a nuclear reactor on the industrial minmus complex, and it's not got uranium because it was too expensive to ship up. So if we can build it there, we are out of money troubles forever. That's good, isn't it? Thought so. So now we have this thing under construction. We are using Kerbal construction time. That means ships aren't built instantly. And that means we've got about 18 days to waste before we'll be moving on to more interesting things. Now there are a few bits and pieces that I kind of want to get done. If you look here at the astronaut complex, you can see we have had some casualties in the Eeloo and Tylo series. 8 casualties to be exact. That means new Kerbals are 150 grand a pop. That's expensive. We currently have 2 Kerbals on the planet. That's not a lot. But we have 8 in space. Most of them are on the future. Actually, is that true? No, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's 5 Kerbals on the future. That is true. That's the most of them there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to design a bus. And that bus is going to collect all these Kerbals from the future, shuttle them over to Science Base Omega, where they'll be trained and can exchange their stars. And then, I think at least that's what happens, then they're going to land on Kerbin, upon which they'll be redistributed into launchers to, apart from Kenlan. Kenlan's got to stay in space, because you know these orbital shipyards and launch platforms, they require a 3-star engineer to operate, and I'm not risking him in re-entry. We're going to land a bunch of Kerbals and then train them. So I'm going to design that and show you it, and then we'll go right quick through this whole episode where we'll build on minmus and make that whole base self-sustaining and profitable. Sound good? I think so. Welcome to the Kerbal Space Colonization program, episode 1. Snap forward to the vessel design. I don't know why I'm talking like this. Just blink your eyes. And as promised, here we are at the space station shipyard with the space taxi, which requires 4,170 rocket parts. Not a lot, but there's 780 on board. Well, we'll start constructing, but that means we will require more space parts. That means going back to the space center and building a resupply mission. But as you may well remember, as it's only been 15 seconds or so, we are already committed to building the minmus resupply mission. In other news, we accidentally hired a Kerbal. I never clicked the button, but it apparently happened through the editor where I ordered a space capsule, which will then, if you click to the Kerbal tab, hire Kerbals. This is very, very dangerous if you care about your budget. So I suppose we better get that uranium refinery and store online, because otherwise we're going to be dead broke, especially considering we are going to have to spring for another station resupply mission. And even though that will be built behind the minmus part bomb, we can just build a run-of-the-mill supply queen, which will shuttle some rocket parts and water up to the station. This has been launched about 10 times already, or like 6 maybe, and it's a proven design. So we're going to build it, and this time we are going to bring full supplies. No, we're not. Supplies are expensive. We don't need supplies. Hell no, a bit. Build the vessel. So that's going to be built after our current vessel, which leaves us no choice but to time warp forwards to the launch of that one, which I have to admit is the nicer option because, you know, it's just cool to do that. We are going to warp there. I will see you on the launch pad. I'll spare you the epilepsy event. See you in a sec. And here we are, and it's not my custom, but I will show you this launch because it's important and exciting in its own way. It's got lots of booster cores, lots of engines, and it's gonna go up, up, and beyond. So let's stop talking and launch. As you can see, it's going up relatively slowly, eating up all the frames per second in the world. I don't really know why, but something in this bloom is a FPS monster. Anyway, soon all of this will burn out, and then comes the most tense moment, because this first separation doesn't always go according to plan. I haven't unlocked separatrons, so hope and fear are the words here. Hope and fear. Passing 3 kilometers, we are about to breach the sonic barrier, and we are liable to do so twice, which I will explain you soon. Something is gonna burn out. It's gonna be the liquid cores and the boosters as well. We're gonna throttle everything down and wait for them to fall away. Now there's many scary explosions happening, but hey, they were all these spent boosters, so everything's going fine. Now all of you rocket aficionados, you are clamoring that this is a horribly inefficient way to do things, and hell, you're probably right. But we haven't unlocked the bigger rockets yet. This thing weighs 100 friggin' tons and we have to get it to minmus, so I couldn't figure out anything smart. I just had to go with brawn. So here we are boosting with the liquid bores, or whatever they're called, the twin bores liquid fuel engine. I like liquid bores better. Anyway, we are going to boost straight up until we are, well, sort of out the atmosphere, because as you may have inferred by now, this liquid booster stage isn't going to cut it all the way into orbit. Now, hidden in this aerodynamic shroud is a high specific impulse, low thrust nuclear stage. Actually, it's not a stage, it's just a resupply ship itself. That means it will get us to minmus, but it will take its bloody time doing it. And that means we have to go on a very steep and high arc, so it gets the time it needs to put us into Kerbin orbit first. I mean, all the delta V in the world to get us to minmus isn't going to make a smack of difference if we're just going to crash and burn back to Kerbin. That shouldn't need explaining. We are now, well, on the verge of leaving our atmosphere. We're also on the verge of overheating, but fortunately we can ditch these boosters. I don't know why they explode outward like that. It's a bit scary, but off we go with 5 mainsails. And as you can see, our acceleration from 5 mainsails with just 1 tank on each of them, you can probably guess that this is a heavy mother. Anyway, here we're going. these will run out pretty quickly. I did some magic with the hoses. That means that the center tank has one extra bit, a half tank extra, to make space for these aerodynamic nose cones, but they will still drain at the same moment. And for now, let's, well, get rid of that and behold our ugly beauty. Because really, there's no aesthetics here. It's just like 3 big hunks of rocket parts that are on their way of being shipped to Minmus. That's really all there's to it. Let's see what our apoapsis doing. It's rising. It's at about 200 kilometers now. Let's start giving this a little bit of sideways movement, just to get the... apologies, my voice just dying there. Giving us a little bit of head start on what these nuclear engines are going to have to achieve, which is orbit. I have good news for myself mostly, that this thing is incredibly time warp stable. I can hit ×4 physical time warp, no problem. And here we are, our apoapsis is at 370, but we're not in orbit yet, so we're going to separate this and fire up those nukes. Point that straight at the horizon, and I'm giving it full thrust and I'm giving it full steering authority, and you'll see it does so very, very slowly. This really is a heavy behemoth with no control. But thanks to the logistics module on Minmus, we don't need to land. We just need to get into an orbit that's sort of close to the industrial complex, which is a great feature. As you can see, even though our engines are at full burn, our orbital speed is decreasing. Now, how is that? Am I accidentally pointing in the wrong direction? No, it means we're accelerating horizontally, but we're doing so slower than the planet is pulling us back down. And this orbital velocity is of course a sum of the horizontal and vertical velocity. Well, probably not a straight sum, but some sort of aggregate of these two values. So if we look at our map view, we can see we still have ways to go till the apoapsis. So we are at an apoapsis of just under 400 kilometers. Our orbital speed is probably going to appear to be decreasing until we reach that point at which we can actually do some accelerating. So let's crank up that physical time warp. Let's wait. Let's quick save first in case something does go wrong. Right, full on the time warp, and you can see it's still pretty darn slow. And it's wobbling all over the place a little bit, but you can also see our apoapsis is ever so slowly increasing, and with lots and lots of patience, this big hunk of rocket parts will eventually get to Minmus. Promise. I will show you getting into Kerbin orbit and do the rest of it blissfully off screen, because my god, is this gonna take forever. But it was the most efficient way I could imagine. I wanted to get 3 of these big canisters to Minmus in one launch. I didn't want to make like 8 supply launches to the orbital shipyard, then do lots more la-di-da-di-da, and well, basically spent 2 weeks getting this done. I just wanted to get it done. Look at that, we're increasing in speed again, as I said, close to apoapsis, and that also means, well, we've pushed our apoapsis out a little bit again, and I'm confident that we will in fact make orbit, but blimey, is it going to take a while. In that while, our nuclear engines are now slightly overheating. I hope they will not catastrophically overheat before we're actually in orbit, because as soon as we are in orbit, I'm fine with letting them cool down. For now though, you gotta keep working for a little bit longer. Let's see. Now, of course, because we have such a space infrastructure, if this runs out of fuel, which, well, it could, but it probably won't, that's actually not a big deal. We can just send resupply drones. We don't even have to pilot those ourselves. So that's a huge luxury of the Kerbin Minmus system with its industrial complexes everywhere. Just saying. So, are you confident that this is going to get into orbit? I am. The point is moot. We're almost there. I'm just going to do as I said, get this into orbit and do the Minmus transfer myself. And then I'll rejoin. Wait a second, something's off with that planning. This supply queen will be ready in 6 days. This will get to Minmus after that. What I will do entirely off screen is resupply the orbital shipyard. If you really want to see how that goes, check out the episode Eeloo and Tylo called A Royal Resupply, which is I think the first launch of this program. of this specific resupply rocket. Here we are in orbit. I'm gonna set up a min-mess encounter. Should be easy, and you will the video will resume with this thing in min-mess orbit, unless of course something catastrophic happens that I just have to show you. So here goes lots of tinkering for me, and I'll be right back. See you soon. And right as promised, here we are. This failed. Ah, there we are. Here we are, right around minmus. Well, as you can see from the fuel tanks, they're quite depleted. This was a long burn. I think I spent about an hour doing this. But look at that. We are in orbit of minmus with bada bim, bada boom, 35,000 rocket parts with us. The supply queen has finished, but I have not quite yet launched it, which hopefully doesn't bother you too much. So here we have the base. Let's switch to that, and this is always a scary moment because even though I have quick saves and backups and everything, still loading in a base like this, maybe it's not reasonable, but I still feel that that is liable to cause explosions. As of now, this base is made out of two parts. Part number one is this drilling bit. That was the first part here, and part number two is like everything else. It's dark, so we're gonna do as little as we can in the dark. We're gonna grab the colony logistics. No, first we're gonna have a look. We have space for 4,000 rocket parts, so we're gonna go into colony logistics, grab. Alright, our base is called Supra Launch. We may have to change that at some point. Yeah, we're gonna go with the part bomb. We are no rocket parts. Oh yeah, of course it has tanks. We can accommodate 7,000 rocket parts. We want to transfer it like so. We will pay the price ourselves, even though it says 0 cost. That's good. I suppose it's good. We can afford 0. Initiate transfer. This will take a day. Oh right, because it's like from space to the planet. Well, we'll accommodate that. It'll be a day of a couple of times. Additionally, we have a temperature scan here, which we hadn't done before. So let's just send that on home. I don't know which bit has a temperature scanner, but apparently we hadn't done it yet. Thanks, science thing. Right, we're gonna have to time warp a day. I suppose we can just click this and time warp until we see the rocket parts arrive. The rocket parts are there. Wonderful. This has worked. That's good. Oh, the camera is drifting as well because our center of mass has changed. That's funny. I like that. Alright. UI. Let's build now the Ultiminer. And I'm getting a sudden feeling of dread, which is to say, yeah, build it. Hey, no, it's actually building, but it is doing so very slowly. Is that right? Is that not building at all? No, it is building. It is just actually building it very slowly. This is probably because our resident engineer isn't in the building. So what we're going to do now is more time warping until these rocket parts are done. Right, so we're definitely gonna need like a better engineer. Also to run the mining operation. Darn it. We have the taxi, which is under construction at the space lab, but we don't that doesn't land, and we need our engineer over at the space lab. We need more and more highly trained Kerbals. This will take forever. Right. Okay, we'll have to do some other things. We will get back here. Well, this was one day. This will be like weeks until this is used up. Supplies are good. Mulch is good. We need water here as well, even though for now supplies also has water. We can drill for water with the big mining rig. Yeah, we need more Kerbals up here. That's basically the thing. So, change of plans. we are gonna have to return to the space center and launch the resupply mission so that we may build a space taxi, so that we may train the Kerbals, so that we may populate our minmus base with more Kerbals to do work. And then once our refinery, our uranium refinery, is up and running, we can hire a bunch more Kerbals and populate both bases. Yeah, I think that's nice. Cool. Well, to keep this episode in check a little bit, because man, that's a lot of stuff to do, I'm going to just do the resupply, do the taxiing construction, and then just quickly show you the taxi shuttle over to the science station and maybe the re-entry. So see you... I will show you the ship in case you didn't know it yet. Alright, let's go to the Supply Queen. It can be a night launch, doesn't matter, because we're not going to videotape it anyway. Oh man, I gotta have this miner up. That's my goal for this episode. I think it's a good goal. Here, this is the Supply Queen. Quite a bit smaller than the previous one, and that's just gonna bring rocket parts to the orbital shipyard, where they can be assimilated for use in space taxis. See you there, with a space taxi built. Yes. No worries. Relax. Sit back, blink your eyes. Alright, several days have passed and we have now a functioning space taxi. This one seats 5 and will shuttle some intrepid crew to and fro our space station. Wait, okay, it's not pilotable yet because there's no guys in it. Let's see if we can transfer some of our Kerbals out. Right. So we are going to send all of them because they all need the training Kenlin can provide. Is one of them an engineer? Not quite sure. They're all gonna go to the station regardless. No, Kenlin is gonna stay here. No. Oh god, decisions. Kenlin's gonna stay here. The rest is going to go towards the science station and then the ground. Oh god, that means we are, for the first time in many times, oh, the joys of grammar, we will be sending Kerbals through atmospheres. Now, our track record with safety is horrible, so I hope this is going to go well, because as we saw in the beginning of the episode, we don't have the money to hire spare Kerbals now. Let's keep on doing this. There's 5 Kerbals to carry over. I will put them all in the taxi, fly towards the training station, and continue our saga there. So, and it is there that we will reconvene and continue with this marvelous mission. Where the hell is this Kerbal? Oh, there he is. Just barely not cutting himself to shreds on the solar panels. Right, as I said, see you around the other space station with all these Kerbals in the taxi. Ciao ciao. Zippa-di-zuppa-da-slip-like-a-bloom. Sorry about that. We are at the Science Base Omega now, and Bill is the last Kerbal to EVA on over. That leaves the taxi unoccupied. Observe that the Science Base has plentiful docking ports. I just forgot to give our space taxi one. So this will be a relatively short stay here. They will exchange knowledge, hopefully. I think that's how it works at any rate. And do some science and then return to the planet. Yeah, sounds reasonable. Let's grab an EVA report. That's been had. And board. Science alert tells me we have science available, but not anymore. That's weird. Really? Oh, it's of course because we passed over a different biome. Right, anyway, let's log some gravity data. Keep that, let's process that in the log module. And here, now we're getting science per day. Now we're getting science. So let's just do that for all the materials. And process in the lab module. Scanner GUI. Screw that. We're not prospecting for ore here now. Yeah. I'm getting distracted. This is not what we came here for. Not at all. There is our taxi, it's drifting. We need to conduct training. Zoom. 1 star and a 2 star. That's it. I think that's it. I have really not that much of a clue how this works. How many Kerbals are in here? How do I get these Kerbals out again? Here they are. Thumbful. Oh, we have to put Leaf and Rodgar in as well. Oh, we could have put them in. Yeah, let's put them in through the transfer thing. Transfer to there. Yes, please. Transfer to there. Yeah, and now we can conduct some more training, maybe. Conduct training. No, that was it. Alright, 4 plus 2 makes 6. That means we can send 5 Kerbals back to the planet. Let's do that. How many supplies are here? Still a few. This will be fine. Right, that was a fairly superfluous visit to here. I don't know what to make of that. Yeah, wasted effort. We are going to, well, get everyone except Leaf. She came from space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? Oh, and one of them is still in the... No. Oh, I only brought 5. I can bring them all. Yeah, they're all gonna come. Hurrah, hurrah. Alright, then I'll just transfer all of them back into the taxi and then do a hazardous re-entry. I will apprise you of the situation then. Right on, and this is the last Kerbal to make it to the space taxi. Almost ready to... Ooh, this is way too fast. Almost ready to start descending into Kerbin's atmosphere. Now, for some of these Kerbals, all of them, it has been years since they last felt gravity, and, well, if I understood them correctly, they haven't done their exercises, so they're going to be completely limp and horrible as soon as they get inside that gravity field. First, of course, this one, whoever he or she may be, we've got female Kerbals now, yeah. This one is gonna have to cram inside here. Oh, wait. What the hell? Apparently I really suck at counting. Back into the science base you go, because there's no room for you in the taxi. I thought I counted 5 people on the science base, and I thought I remembered I left no one in the taxi, but either I counted wrong or I remembered wrong, because there's no space for this one. Damn it, my memory is going to hell, and I don't know why. Right. Enter this module. You'll have 1300 supplies all to yourself. See, now that I remember. Alright, now to make this re-entry a happy occurrence rather than a horrible one, let's put our indicator in the orbit mode, turn the ship retrograde, and do one more check, and that is to see if the space station is not at the bow of the ship. No, fire the engines. Let's now put our periapsis at a decentrary position. We're gonna land somewhere over here, apparently. Oh, what? The ship is drifting. I want to keep it pointed retrograde. Oh, we have pilots on board now. Isn't that luxurious? We're gonna go for like a gentle re-entry at about 30 kilometers. Now, and just to remind all the viewers, that's you, we're doing this to return these Kerbals to Kerbin so that they can impart their knowledge to their colleagues and themselves, upon which they can be shipped out to Minmus. Now, what I could have done is sent this thing to Minmus all at once. Is in some ways probably the preferable course of action. But then again, we'd have untrained Kerbals playing around our industrial complex on Minmus. That's not good. Now we get to build a, let's say, a 3 Kerbal shuttle to actually take them to Minmus in person, which is probably quite a lot better. Now first though, we have this re-entry to deal with. So let us focus on that. We are now, well, not quite in the thick bits of the atmosphere yet, but let's burn our engine for a bit. Or do I want, I'm debating whether I want to do the deceleration horizontally, just full through the atmosphere. Oh well, the point has become moot now because we are being pulled off course by our very rocket. I'm just gonna keep burning this until overheating becomes an issue. What we've got is a decoupler here, obviously, which will decouple the rocket engine and send it on its merry way. We've got a big heat shield after that. We don't want to jettison that. We've got some attitude thrusters to keep attitude if the aerodynamics fail us. And we've got 4 parachutes, 3 drogue chutes, and 1 big main chute. That should suffice to land these 5 guys safely. And, well, as I've reminded you several times, we really need them to be safe. So let's cross our fingers and hope they land safely then, yeah? What's our trajectory looking like? Fairly ballistic. Let's see. We're just gonna plummet straight into the ground. We're at 39 kilometers now. I'm going to get rid of the engine now, because I'm not liking the way that's moving. This is aerodynamically stable. Here is our heat shield. Actually, is it aerodynamically stable? Please just aim retrograde, and you are allowed to use RCS thrusters to do so. Now we need our speeds to go down way below what they are now, but fortunately we are moving horizontally fairly quickly. This is heavier than most capsules because it's a capsule and another pod, which has 5. We don't have electric charge. Oh god. Well, fortunately we've got the thrusters to keep us on course. Apparently our reaction wheels require electric charge. Somehow the engineers forgot to pack batteries. Right, we're at 28 kilometers. We are slowing down, although we are slowing down frighteningly slowly, if I may say so. I kind of want to see some more deceleration, because slamming into the ground at hypersonic speeds with 5 Kerbals on board, not that great. Remember, a new Kerbal costs 180,000. We've got 200,000 in the bank. If these guys die, we'll have 3 Kerbals in space and 3 on the ground. We're not quite out of it immediately yet, but it will be pretty horrible, especially considering that our 3-star Kerbal will still be alive. We left him in the orbital shipyard, and we could build a taxi to take him to the Minmus industrial complex. Yeah, we could survive the loss of these 5 Kerbals, but it won't be pretty. Oh god, why am I planning fixing the deaths of these Kerbals while their capsule isn't even close to overheating? I'm just gonna wait until this says safe and then deploy it. We're at 600 meters per second now, at 8 kilometers altitude. We're plummeting fairly rapidly, but fortunately we're also decelerating. The drogues are safe. Let's deploy those. It's still unsafe to deploy the main chute, but that should soon become safe. It is now safe. Let's deploy that. It appears to be going well. We can shut down our attitude thrusters. We have 4 chutes decelerating us down into the ocean just off the shores. I couldn't have planned it better. I planned it pretty well, if I may say so myself. I hope that the chutes, come on, they should be strong enough to slow this down to a point where it's not going to explode on the water. At least, come on, I hope so. We're still going at 50 meters per second. That's still a kilometer up. Hey, there's science we haven't done yet. We're not getting an EVA report. We are apparently going to get a crew report. I have no idea how that wasn't done before yet, but there you have it. It wasn't done before yet. Now we can attempt a little bit of time warping. Hopefully I will kill myself if we end up dying because of time warp now. See, the heat shield isn't even ablated too much. Can we jettison that now? No, that was apparently just the fairing that was jettisonable. We're gonna impact at 10 meters per second. Let's see, can our reaction control thrusters cushion that? No, just a bit. Just like hell fucking no. What happened to the thing? Quickly recover it. I don't know where that pod is, but there's 5 Kerbals in here still. It did appear as though the lander can got crushed, but then again we had 5 Kerbals. I wonder what actually happened. Oh god, oh god, oh god. parts. No lander can. Oh god damn it! We lost 2 of them in the lander can. That got crushed under the weight of the landing. Oh, sweet Moses! Who died? 2 of them died. Ah, we've got 10 dead Kerbals. Bob died. That's a scientist, and of the others, really, I have no idea. So we've got 2 2-star Kerbals and 1 1-star. And no engineer. Oh, Bill is an engineer. So Bill is going to minmus. Bill and Nielsen. Bill Nielsen and Rich Free. That's 3 of them. Ah, oh, damn it! I didn't want them to die. I'm gonna build a minmus trans. And with that click, KSP crashed. Fortunately, that's not the end of the world, and I restarted it and built this 3 Kerbal minmus transporter. Scared witless by their perilous ascent, cushioned by the crushing bones and bodies of their fellow astronauts, these 3 are immediately ascending back into space. Now, this should be a wholly uneventful trip. It's just this 2-tank stage with a big engine, then a 1-tank stage with a smaller engine, and in the cowling is the base, bare bones basic lander. I should have called it that. The bare bones basic lander, which will fly to and land on Minmus next to our base, which should have ample jobs for these 3. I'm going to do the flight and show you the Minmus arrival, because this episode is all about Minmus industrialization and colonization, and not so much about flying Kerbals to and from the Kerbal Space Center. This series is called Kerbal Space Colonization for a reason, damn it. See you at Minmus then. Right on, as promised, a quick jump. Here we are on approach to the Roughneck Grinding Station M, which will soon be decommissioned because we will have built the Ultiminer. That sounds like a villain from Doctor Who or something. The Ultiminer, unleash the Ultiminer. Alright, anyway, we are on course. We have 3 Kerbals here. 2 of them will immediately disembark. 2 of them will disembark next to the station. The other one will park this thing. Actually, you know what? I don't quite have to land this close to the base. It's not that important. I'm going to just not do that. Yeah, these thoughts, they took too long. I was gonna say I don't need to land like right next to the base because this is Minmus and these guys have EVA packs. And sure, it may take me a little while, but not landing next to the base saves me the FPS drop that entails. But I am now like between the parking lot and the base, and I have the FPS drop anyway. And the concept of a parking lot is nice, were it not for the fact that if I'm gonna start using it as such and parking lots of ships there, I will have the same FPS drops there. So what is instead gonna happen is not a parking lot but a parking ring, where all craft not immediately required for base operation are parked like approximately 5 kilometers away, spaced out 2 kilometers in between. Yeah, it's not ideal, but we are on Minmus, a planet where EVA jet suit hopping is relatively easy. And this gives me yet another thing to do off screen, because easy as though it may be, it's probably not the most exciting thing to watch. This landing, on the other hand, in a fairly stuttery frame rate, surely is. Yeah, right. Touchdown. This was textbook easy. Thumbful is the first to go out. Some company for our friend. Well, who apparently isn't that good of a friend because I forgot his name. Right, Thumbful, do your EVA hop. And yes, there we go. It's the world's longest jump, possibly until the next guy comes along. Now, coolest would have been to have these guys jump in formation, obviously, but well, that requires more deftness than I care to try and apply here. Let's see, where shall we put these guys? Let's try the... Oh god! That's one solar panel down. Holy shit, well, welcome to the base, man. Fortunately, we're working on a nuclear reactor. We can't deal with the loss of one solar panel. Oh my god. And really, I wish they would optimize the game for a little... okay, a few hundred more parts, because my computer isn't terrible. By now, it's not the most juiced up beast, but it's got a recent, it's like a second generation i5 I think from now. So yeah, there's faster processors out there, but it's nothing to scoff at, and it's being horrible. And there aren't that many parts here. There's a few hundred. Should be manageable, but it isn't. I've heard rumors from the internet though that that is going to be fixed soon-ish anyway, with the new Unity update, but then again it is something I have heard for every update since now. Come on, jetpack it on. We will see about that in the future. For now, another jetpack jump mayhem. Right, I cheated. This is actually the third Kerbal, and between the previous one and this one I also parked the ship a little bit further away. Look, it's right over there, and the other one is over there. So, yo, lurger durger, going a little bit too fast here. I put another Kerbal in the nuclear reactor because the house was full, and a thought struck me. Maybe the whole thing wasn't building so slowly because didn't have enough Kerbals, but maybe there was just no Kerbal in it, and it doesn't really look like it takes Kerbals. But we can try this with the transfer interface nonetheless. So we're gonna do just that. Let's see. First, let this guy board. Grab. Oh god, oh god. Come on. Grab hold to the nuclear reactor. Climb up. Get inside. Yes. Right, this base is suddenly populated. It has a few supplies. Should be enough. Alright, crew hatch. And I should check and disable all these engines just to be sure. Alright, Rich Free, I think you are an engineer, but I forgot. Let's transfer you. Yes, to here. Go live in the launch pad. That'll do you good. Alright. This is now suddenly a lot faster, I think. This is now at 6%. Let's remove this and re-add it. Is it still going really slowly? That's of course possible. Let's do a little bit of time warping. It's still going pretty slowly. 10,000 times. Days are passing, and this building isn't really progressing. So we got to do something else. Right, let's wait until... let's put another Kerbal in here. It could just be that this thing is just not very productive. It's got vessel productivity 0.14. We have a power distribution unit. We have a logistics unit, and we have a pioneer module. Is that just not very productive, maybe? Start greenhouse? Well, we could start the greenhouse, why not? Maybe we need workspace. I mean, this doesn't have workshops. That would be the next step. Well, worst case scenario, this is gonna take like a year. That's long. But it's not the last thing on our list. We just have to do lots of time warping. And we would be doing workshop construction at the orbital shipyard and flying that here. Not exactly what I was planning, but let's have a look. Let's try and sticking another Kerbal in. Let's try and stick another Kerbal in the launch pad first, then, eh? I want to make it focus the crew window here, though. But I'm having trouble catching the crew window here. That's too hard apparently. Right, crew hatch here then. Come on, crew hatch. Let yourself be clicked. Clickety click. No. Let's switch vessels. Go here, go back. Crew hatch. Apparently it's really hard to click a crew hatch. Yeah, transfer. Into the launch pad you go. 2 Kerbals in the launch pad. Vessel productivity, 0.14. Productivity, minus 1.4 to the power minus 0.8. That sure isn't a lot. It's not impossibly slow, but it is impossibly slow. And yet here it says it will take like 10 days. Or is that until the parts run out? No, this still says 353 days. Alright, I think our task is clear. We're gonna need to put another dollar in. We're gonna have to build a workshop. And that's too much for just one episode. So in the next episode, I will do just that. I will land a workshop module here. I could try and build it, but it will take forever. Yeah, the orbital shipyard has been supplied. I will get like one of these things with a workshop on it and just land it here, connect it to the shipyard, and off we go, tanking the frame rate of this lovely base a little bit further. You know what? I'm just gonna do that, not show any of it, and just get back to you with that workshop. I want to get this over with. We'll do it this episode. Alright, here's some time magic. One exception, if we can't do it before the Gilly Eater thing here happens, then I'm gonna call it till next episode. Screw it! I'm gonna do it next episode. I'm frustrated. Anyway, hope you like this new old series combination where we will build on colonizing planets and worlds. I wanted to show you the Ultraminer, couldn't do it because the crew on Minmus was too darn slow, misinterpreted their response, killed 2 brave astronauts in trying to get them home, and then sent 3 out again. That's a good score for first episode, I think. All to build the uranium shop. The uranium shop. Of course, this is gonna be called the uranium shop. The uranium shop. Because if this thing goes operational, all our money problems are gone. Is this now called the uranium shop? No, it's still called Supra Launch. For that, I think we need the probe core that's here somewhere, maybe. Is there a probe core here? Oh well, I will try and do that from rename vessel. Yes, it's a base, and it's called the uranium shop. Wonderful. Right on. As I said, check back next episode to see us complete this uranium shop and hopefully increase productivity here, no, at least tenfold. And we will then proceed with maximizing yields from Minmus and also visiting Gilly. Right, that's it for the first time. I'm Lorenzo. Subscribe to all the social things and enjoy your life. Goodbye.